それでは皆様、続いてのテーマは A Fireside Chat with Richard Teng. Our two panelists will be Richard Teng, the Binance CEO, and Takeshi Chino, Binance Japan General Manager. So now, please come up to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this session. So we're going to spend next 30 minutes with Richard Teng, CEO of Binance, and ask him about what he's doing at this moment and what is his view on Web3 industry and cryptocurrencies. I am Takeshi Chino, General Manager for Binance Japan. We launched the service in Japan back to August 1st last year. And since then, collaborating with partners and regulators in Japanese market, we successfully launched the services. And also, we provided a lot of differentiated products in Japanese market. We have currently 53 different tokens, which has made us a #1 exchange in terms of the number of tokens we support here in Japan. Okay, Richard, unfortunately, he cannot make a trip to Tokyo this time, but he is now online, and we can do fireside chat through this video conference style. Okay, Richard, can you hear me?
Hello, Takashi.
Hi, Richard. Okay, so thank you for taking your time, and we have a lot of people here excited to listen to you. First of all, why don't you start with your quick introduction of yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, ohayo gozaimasu. I'm Richard Teng. I'm CEO of Binance. I joined Binance in August 2021 and became the CEO in November of last year. I love Japan. I love everything Japan, right? So it's a pity I'm not there this time around. I love the culture. I love the food. The politeness of the people is extremely welcoming place. I hope to be back in Japan very soon.
Okay, thank you. So I think some of the people here remember that Richard spoke at this WebEx conference last year as the head of regional operations. But this year, he is speaking as Binance CEO. So first question for Richard. Since you became CEO of Binance, what have you done so far?
Well, thanks everyone that is on site today, and thanks to the WebEx conference organizer for inviting us to speak. Right? So I became CEO in November last year, and when I started as CEO, I made 3 commitments globally. The first commitment is Binance will always be a user-first organization. We are only here because of our user support, our user confidence, and that confidence continue to grow, right? So we are very thankful to our users. We continue to look at the type of products and services that our users need, how to safeguard their interests, how to protect their assets, how to roll out the best-in-class, most robust platform at the most attractive rates to all users, right? So that's our key priority. Then my second commitment is to global policymakers and regulators, right? Working very closely with them. This is a very nascent industry, but it's a very high potential industry, similar to AI. AI and blockchain will be the future industry driving future growth of countries, right? So we want to work very closely with global governments around the world to come up with policies and regulatory framework that on the one hand manage the risk part of the dimension for this industry. On the other hand, support the innovation part, support the growth part, and the talent creation part of this industry, which is extremely important for the future. And my third commitment, given that crypto is still at a very nascent stage of development, about 5 to 6% in global adoption, which is extremely early stage, is to work with fellow partners, work with industry to create a very vibrant, dynamic ecosystem to support good projects coming through, to support good talent pool, to bring about greater education, and to bring forth greater crypto deployment and adoption globally.
Okay. Uh, I think you also studied a kind of initiative to transform Binance to more kind of a board-led organization. So could you kindly mention that part?
Yeah, so part of the overall initiative, maybe just as a backdrop, right? I got into crypto around 2017, and I got into crypto because really, I believe that this is the future of finance. But for crypto to take root and go mainstream and get greater adoption, I really believe in 2017 that you need two dimensions at work. First, you need greater regulatory clarity and framework, which very few regulators around the world were embracing crypto and coming up with framework for crypto until quite recently, until the past 2 years. Today, we have roughly 1/3 of global regulators regulating this space. 2/3 are still not regulating. My second thesis at that point in time is for it to really go mainstream and to be widely adopted, you need institutional adoption. You need institutional investors in this space. And 2024 has been a landmark year on that front. With the approval of Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF in the US and many other ETF around the world, Australia, Hong Kong, Brazil has approved Solana ETF as well, right? So you see all these ETF being approved as a sign of mainstream adoption because it allows different class, different type of users, different type of investors to come into this space, and it brings greater liquidity into this space, right? So that is extremely important. And on the regulatory front, I mean, given the mainstreaming of crypto, we also have to pay a lot more focus, other than the user-first organization. We have to pay a lot of focus on compliance, right? Given the direction of travel is much greater in compliance in nature. So we have invested heavily into our compliance function. Last year, we invested $213 million in compliance, and that figure will go up even further this year. And that was a 30+% increase compared to our spending in 2022. We also put in place a board of directors with 3 independent directors. Again, this is part of the maturing of the ecosystem and part of maturing of the company. So we went from a founder-led organization to really a board-led organization in a form that most regulators are much more familiar with, right? But our directors are very passionate about Web3, and we work very closely with them on the strategic direction of the company. How do we support our global users in terms of their crypto journey?
Well, I think you have already touched on the lot of like kind of initiatives and the project you have already kicked off. But would you please mention what are your 3 top kind of priorities at this moment?
My 3 priorities, as I mentioned just now, is always putting user first. So I can give you some examples on that front, right? We consistently roll out enhancement to our user interface, to our product feature, be it in terms of our Web3 wallet, our Binance Earn product, which we introduced Super Earn recently, which is very popular globally, to copy trading, to our margin program, for our high tier VIP, for people that trade a lot. We continue to enhance our VIP program for them as well. We introduce things like tripartite arrangement, and we get a lot of feedback from our users, right? So we consistently look at areas that we can improve upon for our users and enhance all these product and features to make sure that we provide the best platform for them. We invest a lot into our operational efficiency and robustness. I think many people fail to appreciate that unlike traditional financial institutions that work certain number of hours a day, Monday to Friday, they're closed on Saturday and Sunday, crypto exchanges like ourselves operate 24/7. We serve global users, right? So we have to have a very robust platform. You don't have downtime over the weekend to upgrade your system, to do system maintenance, right? It's like flying the plane and then repairing any parts that needs to be repaired in mid-air. That's how I describe it, because we are always on the go. So if there's any enhancement, we have to do it while the system is up and operational and running. We invest a lot into security. Security of our users, security of the platform is one of the top priorities that we have, which we have invested very heavily. So we put up data to say that for this year alone, we help our users avoided 2.4 billion of losses or potential losses in terms of potential scams that's coming through. We use technologies such as AI to detect things like poison wallets, phishing, etc. for our users, right? And then we also work very closely with fellow exchanges, fellow ecosystem, with law enforcement agencies to recover funds that's lost through possible fraud and scams, right? So this year alone, we recovered 73 million for our users. Last year was 58 million, right? So year to date, it's about 73 million. So we continue to focus a lot of our attention on that front to really protect user interests, to make sure that we provide the best platform. And we are very thankful that our users continue to trust us. We have crossed 200 million users by today globally. We have 215 going to 220 million users. And we are very thankful. But this trust is earned consistently over the course of 7 years. And we intend to make sure that we focus a lot of attention on that. On the compliance and regulatory deployment front, we are very pleased to announce that we have gotten our 19th global approval in India. And as all of you know, India is an extremely big market, very young demographics, very tech-savvy, embracing crypto. So our 19th approval making us the most regulated exchange globally on that front. And that's a result of working very closely with the Indian Financial Services Authority, which we continue to work very closely. And we continue to work very closely with global partners, right? From payment partners to card partners to fiat partners, to continue to allow our users the best services that we can deploy locally. Because for us to succeed locally, we need a strong team like in Japan that's led by Takeshi.
Thank you.
To really support our users in terms of their needs. So those are the areas that we continue to work very closely on.
Thank you, Richard. So you touched on the user focus, still our top priority, and I do believe that Binance has been successful because we take care of user voices quite seriously, and we reflect these voices into our development cycle. By the way, do you see any kind of a shift happening in the market in terms of persona of users? Like we first have a lot of like retail users who supported us, but currently, what kind of like users we are looking to on our platform now?
Sure. So if you look at crypto itself, it is totally different from all other asset class. If you look at bonds, securities, commodities, right? Normally, the first adoption happens at the institutional level, then go to corporates, high net worth individual, and ultimately it flows to retail. For crypto, it went the other way, right? So it was the retail, the man in the street that embrace and adopt crypto first. They are the first believer in crypto. And for the longest time, regulators and institutions were not embracing it, right? And I mentioned 2024 is a landmark year because we have seen that shift in 2024 with more greater, clearer regulations coming into play. And also all the institutions, if you look at global institutions today, the top 100 institutions in the world, from the likes of BlackRock, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and the list goes on, right? Everyone has a crypto agenda. Everyone is rolling out crypto products to support their users on that front. So that's a landmark shift. So given that, the other than retail users that has always been very heavy users on our platform, we are seeing a lot of institutions coming through as well. For this year alone, the number of institutional users has increased more than 36% for year to date. And it's a mix of different people, right? So institutions that want exposure to crypto, they know that we offer the deepest liquidity pool and offers the best rate, so they come through us. You have traditional trading firm that used to trade just bonds, securities, commodities, now adding a crypto desk to trade an additional asset class. And all those are coming through, right? And then you have high net worth individual. So you will see a mix of different types of institutional and corporate players coming on board now. And that is very exciting because it adds a further dimension, it adds further liquidity into crypto.
It sounds like the distance between traditional finance and blockchain back to finance, I would say, is now getting kind of closer and closer. And what is your view on the intersection between the traditional finance and kind of blockchain back to finance in the next kind of a few years?
Well, if you take a step back, right? So this is a transformational technology, crypto blockchain. And transformation technology will keep advancing at faster speed, right? So if you just look at our own crypto adoption, I mentioned we have 200 over million users now. The first 100 million users took us 5 years to achieve. And the next 100 million users only took us 2 years. So you can see the rapid pace of adoption in crypto, right? So our third 100 million users will be even shorter time. So that is the pace in which this sector is developing. Again, technology is so fast evolving. There is a convergence, right? If you look at the entire financial infrastructure of things like bank securities firm, right? Over the next decade, most of the middle back office will move towards blockchain in order to bring about first greater efficiency, greater cost savings, immutability. People cannot change the data, etc. There's transparency, etc. So you will see that change, right? And also in terms of things like cross-border. For example, if you do a bank transmission today, if you do a bank transfer, if you want to send money to overseas, it takes you 2-3 days, goes through correspondent banking. I think many people are discovering if you use crypto, it's instantaneous at a fraction of the price. And your loved ones, your family, people that you want to send money to receive it instantaneously, right? At a very fraction of the price of what traditional financial institutions are charging. And that's the beauty of crypto, right? It's so fast, it's so efficient. It does things at a fraction of the cost that many more things will then transit towards the usage and utilization of this technology.
Okay, so I think here I would like to ask Richard, what is your view or opinion on the future of the cryptocurrencies, and how do you think they will impact the global economy in the coming years? We have a lot of like kind of big events, coming up right this year. So, what is your view?
Sure. So I don't have a crystal ball, but if I look at past trend, which could be representative of future trend, the first thing to note is that crypto adoption is going to take place at an even faster rate, right? So at Binance, we really support globally the freedom of money. We support our users in terms of the crypto journey. We have onboarded 200 over million users. We are working towards onboarding the next billion users, right? Because I've seen how crypto changes the life of so many people around the world in different fashion. In many parts of the world, where it's going through hyperinflation scenario, people holding on to stable coins are much better off over time. I mentioned about remittance, right? Many of the financial institutions charge very high fees for cross-border remittance. Crypto does that at a fraction of the cost. So there are so many different use cases, and I see how it changes the life of so many people. And that adoption curve is going to go up a lot faster, right? A lot more institutions, family office, even sovereign wealth funds may start allocating into crypto. Jenny Johnson, who is the CEO of Fidelity, highlighted that the allocation of institutions into crypto is just beginning. So we are at a very, very early stage. It's very small. They have to go through the due diligence process before they start allocating, but it's going to go up quite sharply. And that will augment the crypto sector very well. Many of the people that buy into things like ETF only trade within a certain number of hours a day. You don't trade during weekends. Most of the people that trade ETF are really long-term holders. So they add another dimension to the crypto sector and the scene, right? And as the market capitalization of crypto continue to grow, okay, you will see volatility being less prevalent. Right? If you compare a 200 million market cap industry to a 2 trillion to a 20 trillion, as the market continue to grow, volatility will become less. Right? So these are some of the longer term trends that we can look at that will come about over time.
It's quite difficult to answer, as the CEO of Binance, but what kind of like a product or kind of a sector of the industry are you particularly interested in now?
Well, crypto has many different subsectors. So from infrastructure to DeFi to SocialFi to gaming, etc., right? So we don't have aptitude, or we are not in the business of predicting winners. It's very, very difficult for us to do so. But what we do is we track every subsector, the growth of those subsector, the usage, who are the people that are developing, what are the new good products coming through. And then we will see how we can support some of the very good products coming through, right? To create a very dynamic ecosystem, right? So we have things like Launch Pool, Earn, Mega Drop. So we have different platforms to really support users and support all these developers in terms of their growth. So we are not in the business, we can't predict the future. And crypto really developed so quickly, you can't look at 6 months out or a year out to make very, very strong prediction. But my long-term view, and that's my personal view, not financial advice, is going to be an uptrend, right? We'll go through volatility, but if you look at longer-term trend, is on the way up. People just focus on the short-term volatility part. But if you take a step back, Bitcoin year-to-date has returned more than 30% despite all the volatility. So if you look at the longer-term trend, is going to be on the way up, right? So if you buy and hold and think through long-term, you can ignore some of this short-term volatility. But we are here to really support a very vibrant ecosystem. And all the good projects out there, we are happy to really see how we continue to support both projects as well as countries. I mentioned that crypto blockchain is going to be a very important part of any country development together with AI. So in terms of educating, in terms of bringing in talent pool on that front, supporting the growth of talent pool, we are very happy to really do our part to support all those things.
I think this is a really strong message. So Binance is here to support ecosystem. Yeah. Okay. Now I would like to ask about our home country, Japan. Before we jump into the next question for Richard, first I would like to draw everyone's attention to two key facts in Japan. One is for Binance Japan, as I mentioned at the beginning, we passed a 1-year milestone. We are proud of the progress we made here in Japan with our users and the community. The other one is Japanese crypto sector. We witnessed was that number of crypto accounts exceeded 10 million for the first time as of April this year. This was a roughly 50% increase year over year. And while there is still a gap compared to the number of accounts with traditional security companies, which stood around 36 million, it was, I think, a strong milestone that we are more like converting traditional finance investors into crypto industry, as long as, and also we are acquiring brand new users in this country. Based on this situation, my question for Richard is, what is your view on the Japanese market? And how does Japanese market differ from other markets? And what Binance can do to drive mass adoption in this country?
Well, I think all of us know that Japan is a very dynamic market, right? And kudos to the policymakers and regulators. Japan was one of the first among the developed countries in the world to put in place quite clear regulatory framework to regulate crypto, right? To provide things like user protection. And we are very glad to be in Japan. We are very thankful for the support. We are very thankful to have a very strong local team under Takeshi leading the charge for our Japan deployment. And Japan is an extremely important marketplace, right? Japan is known for its technological prowess, known for its talent pool, and we hope to do a lot more, right? Takeshi, you mentioned that we offer the most number of tokens in Japan now among all the exchanges. And that's really our aspiration, to provide even more, right? To even list more, to provide more products to our users, to support them in terms of their crypto journey. So we are on a continuous process to work very closely with local stakeholders, from policymakers to regulators, to really support the users in terms of having that regulatory framework where we can roll out even more products and services. On the users front, really understanding their needs. The needs of Japanese users might be quite slightly different, right? The type of products that the Japanese users might be excited about could be slightly different. And so we need to understand them and route those products, right, to the best of our ability on that front. We always place our user interest first on that front, but we also will work with partners, be it traditional banks, financial institutions, payment providers, to really push forward the agenda, to really support the growth of this ecosystem. We'll push forward with educational efforts. And education effort ranges from the users to corporates to our partners to regulators, to highlight to them the beauty and the technological prowess behind crypto and how it will transform a lot of things in the future landscape, and how we can work together to embrace it and to push forward with adoption.
So in Japan, Binance is now collaborating with key stakeholders, including companies, regulators, policymakers, everyone. So we are quite happy to have a conversation like that. And as Richard said, we see Japan is quite focused area and still quite attractive for Binance as a whole. Yeah. So Richard, we have only 30 minutes remaining. So could you make a kind of a closing remark and message to the audience here, please?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much. Arigato gozaimasu. I hope to be back in Japan very shortly to meet with all of you. Secondly, really thank you for your continued support of us at Binance, right? We are here to serve you. We do hope that you continue to like our products and services, and if you have any feedback at all, do let us know, right? So we have received a lot of feedback throughout the course of this year from global users. We continue to review them and roll them out to really support you in your journey. And thirdly, we will continue building the best platform for everyone, the best-in-class platform to serve our users globally. So with that, thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you in person soon.
Yeah, next year you should come here.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely, I'll be there.
All right. This is, I think, the end of this session. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Richard, for your time. Yeah, I think yeah, we will do more in Japan, and so stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
ありがとうございます。We would like to take a commemorative photo now. So if you could please just stand in the center. And Richard, could we have Richard back online again? Is it possible? Great. We're going to take a photograph now. If you could just look straight into the camera with a big smile. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
And if you could
Thank
just
you.
wait in the side, we will give you that photograph, okay? Oh no, you can exit now at this time. Thank you so much. もう一度盛大な拍手をお送りください. Please give it up for our wonderful panelists from Binance. それでは次のセッションまでしばらくお待ちください. Please wait a few more moments. We'll be starting our next session momentarily. Thank you so much.